If I actually selected my microphone, we may be able to get this show on the road, right? Well, good morning, kids. How is everybody doing? Let me turn my filters onto my microphone so I sound a little better here. Welcome to another episode of the Abyss AM edition. Of course, I am your host, the Eternal Abyss. I have my coffee. I hope you have yours too. How is everybody doing this morning? So, I'm, of course, incredibly late this morning, and which isn't very unusual for me, of course. And I'm gone for 2 days. I was out of town Thursday. I had things going on Friday morning, so I couldn't do the stream on Thursday, and I couldn't do the stream on Friday. I'm gone for 2 days, and everything goes to hell. I can't be out of stream for 2 days. That the entire news cycle absolutely turns over on itself and becomes an absolute storm of crap. There's only one topic that I'm gonna be talking about. There's only one topic that really deserves any attention because it's the only topic anybody and everybody is talking about right now. It's, of course, the president, Donald J. Trump, and COVID, and the fact that he somehow contracted it and tested positive. Of course, with any president, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, with any president that would contract any sort of disease, like Woodrow, if I'm not mistaken, Woodrow Wilson contracted the Spanish flu, things of that nature. I never wish ill or death or anything on anybody, especially the president of the United States. That would throw the country into chaos. However, not everybody apparently feels the way I do about that. So this is the first thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is how absolutely disgusting Twitter has been, social media has been, reporters and so-called journalists have been, and politicians have been. Now, it's not surprising to me that when the news came out that the sheer amount of vitriol, hate, disgust that came from all those sources that I just mentioned, it doesn't surprise me one bit that you have such hatred and such a desire to see ill fall upon people that you don't like. That is a very regressive way of thinking. That is a very degenerate way of thinking. I don't wish harm on my worst enemy. It's against my nature. Me personally, I cannot do that. It is incredibly anti-Catholic as well. That's the one thing that's kind of unique to Christianity, is that Christianity is one of the first religions out there, if not the only one that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if there's any other that really tells you explicitly to love your enemy and to turn the other cheek. And that's not to say that Christianity says, just become a doormat and have people walk all over you. But that is to say that in your heart, if people relinquished the anger, hate, all those bad feelings, the world would be a better place. And that's kind of where the message of Christianity and Catholicism primarily comes from. But apart from that, let's get back to the opposite of that, of what was on Twitter and on Facebook and other social media. It's just the sheer amount of disgusting vitriol that came out of people is one, unfortunately, unsurprising. But the thing that's really worse for me is when it's coming from the media. When it's coming from the media, it's coming from celebrities, it's coming from people like politicians as well. When you have Democrat candidates in Texas posting stuff, and then when they get called out on it, they try to delete it, but the internet is forever. Once you post something on the internet, it's on there. There's virtually no way for you to get rid of it. And you have people that are incredible hypocrites, which we've talked about that as well. And you had the media basically saying all sorts of lies about where Trump may have contracted it, about his actual condition, if he had been given oxygen or not, etc., etc. You even have the liar of all lying journalists, Dan Rather. Now today he's trending because he chimed in saying, "Oh, this is just all propaganda." When it comes to Trump showing that he's working in different rooms and he's doing stuff and he's signing papers and things like that. This is the guy who blatantly lied and blatantly tried to propagandize and blatantly pushed false stories for political expediency because he had a personal agenda and a political agenda. This is Dan Rather. This is the guy that's trying to talk about integrity, and he's trying to talk about truth, and he's trying to talk about people propagandizing. Dan Rather is the epitome of what is wrong in the media. It's this incredible double standard. This incredible double standard that is applied. That they can lie all they want. They can propagandize all they want. They can be the scum of the earth all they want. Yeah, everybody around Trump has no, and that's the other thing we're going to talk about. Is we're going to talk about how his condition, what his condition really is. He may be released today, and I think he is being released today, from my understanding. I don't know if it's happened already. I'm checking. Actually, you know what? Let me check the news to see if that's come up yet. So far, they're optimistic that Trump will leave Walter Reed, return to White House Monday after coronavirus treatment. Let's see if there's anything else on here. I don't think it's happened yet. Let's see. Let's see. No, I'm not seeing anything right now. So I don't think it's happened just yet. Let me just check one more thing here. No, they still haven't released him, but they're optimistic that it's happening today. So his condition seems to be vastly improved, and he's doing well. So let's let me go into this article here, and we can talk a little bit about that. So here's kind of the timeline of what was going on here. For those that may have lived under a rock for the past couple days. Well, you know, the problem with Dan Rather is Dan Rather and the media feel that they are some sort of elite class. I think that's really where the problem lies, is that they don't understand what the role of journalism is anymore. And they don't understand what their role is anymore. They feel that their role is a role of activism, when their role should be a role of providing information and reporting and seeking out truth. This isn't a propaganda arm for any government. The fact that they act as such is something that is quite frankly scary, and is quite frankly an absolute travesty to what journalism is supposed to be. It's really a sad day in the world of journalism when this sort of thing happens. So let's see here. Let's see. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows says the administration is, quote, optimistic President Trump will be able to return to the White House on Monday after spending several days at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center being treated for coronavirus, saying Trump's health improved overnight and the president is ready to get back to a normal working schedule. Spoke to the president this morning, Meadows said. He continued to improve overnight and is ready to get back to a normal working schedule. He added that the president will meet with his doctors and nurses this morning to make further assessments of his progress. Meadows added, we are still optimistic that he will be able to return to the White House later today, with his medical professionals making that determination later today. Meadows, during an interview on Fox and Friends, said that the White House would know about the president's potential release by earliest Monday afternoon. Meadows says, though, that the president is really not only understanding what millions of Americans have had to face as they've come in contact with the disease, but more importantly, the fact that we need to continue to work on therapeutics. His treatment has been remarkable, Meadows says. His strength has been incredible. The president has received doses of remdesivir, so far an antiviral drug that has been approved by the FDA to help treat coronavirus. If you look at the therapeutics which I'm taking right now, some of them and others that are coming out soon, that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles, Trump said in a video posted to his Twitter Saturday night. I don't know, the next period of few days, I guess, that's the real test, so we'll be seeing what happens over the next couple of days, he added. I should have done that in the Trump voice. Well, too late now. Meadows' comments came as the president has been trying to project an image of strength during the stay at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center while fighting COVID-19. The president, over the course of the last several days, has faced health scares amid his battle with the novel coronavirus, including 2 instances in which his blood oxygen level dropped suddenly. Doctors treated the president with a dose of a steroid, dexamethasone, in response. A normal blood oxygen reading is between 95 and 100. Dr. Sean Conley said the White House physician, who has served as the president's personal physician, said Trump had a high fever and a blood oxygen level below 94% on Friday and during another episode on Saturday. Nevertheless, members of the president's medical team said that they have been encouraged by his energy and test results, and have signaled that he may be ready to be discharged from Walter Reed on Monday. The president on Sunday took a brief trip outside the hospital to greet supporters who had gathered outside. In response, the White House Deputy Secretary Judd Deere said in a statement that appropriate precautions were taken in the execution of this movement to protect the president and all those supporting it, including PPE. The movement was cleared by the medical team as safe to do so. And also, etc., etc. So I'm not going to read the entire article because, I mean, the point of the stream isn't for me to just sit here and read articles. So this is the thing. So Trump tests positive. In an abundance of caution, they bring him over to Walter Reed. Melania also tests positive. You have a couple other people that test positive, and apparently it seems like Hope Hicks was responsible for spreading this. I'm not sure entirely. That kind of has fallen on the wayside in terms of It's kind of fallen on the wayside in terms of like the determination where it came from. That was the big report on Friday. Afterwards, everybody started pointing at, the media started going crazy. They started spinning all the gerbil wheels. And they started saying, yeah, I mean, he's 74 years old. That's true. He's 74 years old, and he was only partially kind of affected by this thing. This kind of goes to show you exactly what a lot of people have been saying about how the survivability rates and the mortality rates are incredibly high versus low, respectively. And it goes to show you that it really depends on the person who catches it, but it also it goes into a broader conversation here about, how it gets spread. And right now there's one thing to talk about, such as people were saying, like the media was saying that, oh, he got it from the what's it called? The nomination announcement of Barrett. They're saying, oh, it was a super spreader event. He was there, and nobody was wearing masks, and they were all closed, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, wait a minute. When they started doing a lot of tracing on this sort of thing, they were tracing it, the clinic, actually, where the debate took place, said that that's where most likely it came from. And they're saying that everybody got tested when it was there, because there was this whole debate about whether people got tested or not, and they got tested either on site or on the, on the way there on the plane, Air Force One, because there's that protocol. So the thing is, there's this whole thing about following the protocols. There's this whole thing about whether that is where the infection came from. I've seen several reports that say that basically it came from there before Trump and his team and everybody even set foot into it. So it makes you suspicious. I mean, the timing is very strange. The fact that it only affected a group of Republicans, that all these Republicans started coming out with the fact that they were tested positive. You got Chris Christie, you have Trump, you have Melania, you have what's her name? Kellyanne Conway. So you have a bunch of people on the right, a couple senators, Tom Tillis, and I think Mike Lee. All these people somehow tested positive, and only the Republicans tested positive, and the Democrats did not. And I'm not one to delve in conspiratorial speculation. I don't see the point of being a conspiracy theorist. I don't see the point of trying to connect dots that don't exist. So I'm not going to make any sort of prognostication here. I'm not going to make any sort of declaration about what I think. All I am saying is I do find it quite interesting that that's what went down. Okay. And it kind of goes into it kind of falls into what many have been talking about how, well, you can wear the masks, you can social distance, and you can do all those things. And yet it seems like the numbers don't really change. I read this article recently, for example, that talked about how the lockdowns seemingly really didn't do a whole lot in terms of flattening the curve. Let me see if I can bring that up and I can tell you the source of that. I could be... See if I still have that. I believe I do, but maybe I don't. I don't think I have that up anymore. Yeah, I don't have that article up anymore. But anyways, the point is that they were talking about how you would look at different states and you look at the curves and the data and you can see that it kind of was independent of when the lockdowns occurred. And some states didn't even lock down, like I think South Dakota didn't even lock down. And you see the same trend. You see the same trend where you see this uprise in the graph. Then you see a flattening. And then you see a downward trend with like little kind of ups and downs, up and downs, up and downs as the graph is going downward overall in the trend. So you have this kind of big arch, whatever, that is going from the beginning when the pandemic hit, goes high because a lot of people catch it, and then things flatten, taper off, and then they start dipping. So to me, this is kind of what that means, and this is what the article is talking about. They're saying, well, the whole claim about like the 14 days to flatten the curve, and then the whole lockdowns are needed to drop the cases. It's like, well, wait a minute. If lockdowns were as effective as people were talking about, you would have when California locked down and when New York City locked down, or New York in general, wouldn't you see a sharp drop? Like, you wouldn't see just a flattening and a tapering off, as in with every other state, basically, no matter whether they're open or not. Same with Europe. You had Sweden with the same kind of graph and the same kind of numbers that all the other countries had when they locked down. Now, I'm not saying that the numbers are the same. I'm just saying the overall trends. Like, I'm not saying anything controversial here. I mean, because YouTube is probably going to slap some stupid crap on my stream saying that I, get the facts about COVID. I'm not contradicting any facts here. I'm just talking about the data that's available for anybody to see here. And I'm not even putting forth any sort of conspiracy theories. I'm not making stuff up. I'm just saying, if you just look visually at these graphs and you look at the countries or states, in the United States in this case, where they're open and non-open. Yeah, you have plenty of states that are open now too. Yeah, you have like Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Idaho, South Dakota, all open, and Georgia as well. Yeah, you have a lot of states opening up saying, we're done with the lockdowns. And I don't blame them because of these if you look at this kind of data. You're looking at this kind of data and you're going, well, these lockdowns really don't seem to be doing a whole lot. It's not really the lockdowns that have been preventing a whole lot. I think what's been preventing more than anything, if we want to talk about prevention, is not really that. It's the issue is that it just doesn't make sense. That's the problem. When you have a complete lockdown of a state, for example, you should see a decline. Instead, you see spikes. And I think it has to do, there's a lot of variables involved in this, obviously. I mean, it's not like there's just one simple thing that causes a spike of these, of the virus. But I think the problem is that there's such a focus on people that have contracted the virus, that sort of number. And there's a lot of false positives. There's a lot of virus residue, basically, components that are left in people's bodies. And they test positive for that. There's a lot of tests that just are too sensitive, and they any sort of flu will trigger it. So there's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about because there's this whole push about how terrible COVID is, how terrible COVID is, how terrible COVID is. And I'm not saying that COVID is not terrible. All I'm saying is, and that's exactly what I'm getting at, Trolio. The quantity of the test performed matters. So does the validity of those test results. And the fact is this. And the fact is this, too. It is a very virulent virus. A lot of people are going to catch it. It's going to be like those. It's going to be one thing that you can give credit to Fauci for, is the fact that Fauci said most likely everybody is going to catch it at one point or another. So focusing so much on the actual virus, like in the sense that of people catching it, I feel is not really the approach. I think the approach that needs to be looked at is therapeutics. The approach needs to be what's the mortality rate on it? How deadly is this virus? What are the chances of getting a vaccine for it? All these sort of things. You had it 3 times. Really? Wow. So yeah, and then that's the other thing, the left is so the left is so we'll talk about that too. That's what's gonna happen, I think. Yeah, you had a lot of control samples that came from China as well, and that tainted original tests as well. There were a bunch of tests that needed to be thrown out at the beginning as well. Yeah, for the most part, I mean, I think that this whole coronavirus thing has been, I believe from the beginning, and I still believe it now. It is something that you needed to take seriously. I do believe that it was something that needed to be looked at and needed to be taken care of. I do think that it's been grossly overblown. I do feel that because of its mortality rate, and really the reason why you have such high numbers in many places was mostly because people were being stupid. It's people being stupid. It's governors making horrible decisions. And I think, again, like I said, I don't delve in conspiracy or anything like that, but I do think that this thing has been greatly overblown. I can promise you that if this wasn't an election year, you probably would not have had the reaction on COVID that you had now. And if it was any other president, you wouldn't have had such a combativeness of the opposition in regards to just trying to help people. You still have Pelosi not wanting to give people assistance with money. No, she would much rather spend time on the House floor. She would much rather spend time on the House floor putting a vote on saying that the Proud Boys need to be denounced. That's where her focus lies. I mean, anyone who supports Pelosi at this point, you have a mental illness. You seriously have a mental illness. There is no way anybody with a rational mind can tell me that someone like Pelosi should be in her position. The woman is a piece of shit, frankly. It's just absolutely disgusting. But anyways, let's go back to, Trump. Because this is the main topic that we're talking about today. Let me get my coffee here. So yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the media. And, I've seen Chat talk a little bit about this. For example, Chat has brought up the fact that you had McCain, who had terminal brain cancer, but it was okay for him to seek another term. And Trump has the coof, so he has to be quarantined. Absolutely, yeah. Or it's okay that someone has like 2 or 3 aneurysms like Joe Biden. Jill, his wife, said he had 3 aneurysms. But it's okay for him to try and seek the presidency. And he obviously has dementia. But it's okay for him. It's okay for him. And, yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was basically like on life support, had cancer multiple times. Her health was not good. In the past like 3 or 4 years or so, like the entire presidency here of Trump, even before that, honestly, she had serious cancer scares and serious health concerns and issues. Yet people wanted her on the bench until she like freaking died on there, almost. So, sorry, I was drinking my coffee. I hope you have yours, as I said. So, it's perfectly okay, and it's perfectly okay for Pelosi to walk around without a mask. It's perfectly okay for Cuomo to walk around without a mask. He tells people, wear a mask, and then there's photos of him walking around without one. Same with de Blasio. So it's the sheer hypocrisy on the left is amazing to me. And then everybody wants to talk about how, like, as soon as Trump got the virus, you have people celebrating that. I want to talk about that again, the celebration. As I mentioned, like, to me, it's against my grain. It's really against my nature, and it's something that really sticks with me when I see people do that, because it really shows me a lot about them. It shows me a lot about who these people are inside. You know, a lot of times, let's go back into the metaphysical and Catholicism for a moment. One of the big things in Catholicism that you always discuss is the heart of man, the intention of man, and that it's very difficult to nigh impossible, actually, for a human being to really know the intent of someone else in their heart. That is a big theological discussion that happens with it when you're discussing sin, and when you're discussing culpability, and you're discussing you're discussing the nature of humanity and salvation, primarily, because the whole point of Catholicism really is salvation. And one thing that has always been imparted on me in my upbringing in the church, and then also just my own research that I've done on the side, and theological study and things like that, because I've always found that fascinating, so I've done a lot of research and study on my own, is that we cannot know the inner workings of a person's heart. We cannot know the inner workings of a person's soul. There's always going to be this degree of separation, and God is the only one that truly knows what people have in their hearts. However, said that, when you have someone like Trump as president, and he gets sick, and you look at the sheer joy that people are experiencing at this, like Chris Rock, like Sean Penn, Stephen King, people in the media, politicians, etc., etc. I mean, I could go on and on, but the point is, that is a gleaning into the heart and soul of that individual. If you want something bad, hey, thank you for the lemon. Hey, Made in USA review, thank you. Oh yeah, I didn't do my standard greet. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're gonna let those roll for the time being. Hey, thank you so much. Much love to you as well. Thank you so much for that. We'll shamelessly promote myself in just a moment as well. Don't worry, we'll get there. But the point that I'm getting at is that that is very much a gleaning into the heart of that individual. Okay? You can talk about people, people say, they're good people, they have noble intentions, they have this, they have that. But when they come out and say, I wish harm upon another human being, or, I'm glad Trump caught this, or karma's a bitch, and things of that nature. Yeah, Remans. Oh yeah. It shows you who these people are at the core. That's the thing. It shows you who these people are at the core. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not going to go into very much detail, but I'm going to give you an example about myself. A little bit more of some a little bit more information about who the Abyss is, okay? I got dox a little bit about myself, somewhat. It's not even a dox, it's more just a general story about what happened when I was a kid. So, when I was a kid, there was this other kid that I knew. What was that? What did I miss here? What was the quack? Oh, I don't even know my own notifications. Oh, sent the diamond. Oh, thank you, Fear. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I just saw that gif of the guy spitting out a lemon. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that. Oh, thank you so much for the diamond. Yeah, I need to update the sound for that sort of stuff. Why is that not showing? Oh, there we go. You know, I didn't celebrate RBG. I didn't. Because to me, death is not something, people's death is not something you celebrate. Well, I am Catholic. The only reason why I have Judeo-Christian on there is because of, this is more of a political thing, it's not a religious thing. Judeo-Christian means more of a political ideology that our country is based on. And there is overlap between Judaism and Christianity. That's the only reason why I have that. And also because I'm lazy and I don't want to change the background image. I can't find the original PDF PSD anymore, the Photoshop file, and I don't feel like changing it. So. there's some laziness involved in that. I'm very happy to admit. But basically, going back to what I was talking about is like when I was a kid, I knew this other kid who was a little bit older than me, and this kid was a big bully. Everybody knew this kid. His father had been in prison or something like that, if I recall, and this kid was not a pleasant kid to be around. He had issues. Okay, I actually feel bad for the kid because his family, he came from a very broken family. There were a lot of problems in his family from what I heard. And he was a big bully towards people, and he was just not the kind of person you would want to be friends with. And he had a little clique of people that followed him around because he was kind of this weird, tough kid, and he had all these other guys that followed him around, and he had a little gang, basically. And there was this incident where a verbal altercation took place, and I ended up getting punched in the face because of that. And as a consequence of that, that spurred my family to say, you know, you really should learn some self-defense. I mean, I was a scrawny kid. It's like you know, if there was a strong enough wind, I could fall over basically when I was younger. So that prompted my family to say, you know what, maybe you should go and do some self-defense. And I said, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I like the Ninja Turtles. I like the thought of learning some sort of martial arts. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Why not? You know, I was 10. I was 9. I was a kid. So I vigorously practiced martial arts, which ended up injuring myself, which has affected me to this day. Now, nowadays, it doesn't really affect me anymore, but it is something that I'm self-conscious about now. And the whole point of this story isn't to elicit any sort of sympathy from me. The point of the story is this, that this sort of thing happened, it affected my life, it affects me in a certain way to this day, and to this day, I still don't wish ill on him. To this day, I don't wish death on him, or I don't wish bad things on this kid. That is something that is just against my nature. And that's what I mean. It's like, no matter how much this kid affected me, and this is like, and it's a stupid petty thing at the end of the day, really, because it's not like what this kid did when I was young really has a major effect on my life today. Like, it is so far removed from anything I do today, it's not even funny. But the point is that I would have every reason to be angry and resentful and feel hate for this kid and feel hate for his family and all this kind of stuff. I don't. I feel pity. I feel pity for him. And I feel sympathy and pity that this kid behaved in this fashion, that he came from such a crap family that didn't give him any values. That's what I feel. Abyss, do you want an animated background that's very visually similar? Is that possible with your version of OBS? Because I've been making emotes like a mofo lately, and I could squeeze that in. If you can come up with something, I'm more than happy to check it out. Yeah, OBS does let me do animated stuff. In fact, the pre-roll and post-roll of my shows, well, the morning one, is an animated GIF. It's not even a video. So OBS is good with that. Other software like I've been using vMix as well. vMix doesn't do that very well, but OBS is just fine. But going back to what I was saying, what it really boils down to for me is, who are you at the end of the day? I mean, if you, and I don't care how old you are. Oh, please. CNN wishes that. But anyways, the point is that it really goes to show you the kind of person that you are if you have this desire and this vengeful feeling inside you that you want to see this other person suffer just because you don't like them. I mean, and this is like in the case of the story that I told you, this guy actually assaulted me. This guy actually punched me in the face. This guy actually physically hurt me. I have every reason to be angry at that guy. Trump? They hate him only because he's Trump. They hate him simply because of that. I can promise you that it's purely a political thing. And to me, it's a very, very poor reflection on you as a person. If that's where your reaction is. I think you have to re-examine yourself. If your reaction to hearing that a president is ill is to say, "Oh, good. I wish he dies. I wish he suffers. I wish this, I wish that." And people should be held accountable for that. Celebrities should be held accountable for that. Reporters especially should be held accountable for that, and elected officials should be held accountable for that. Well, yeah, Made in USA review. I see what you mean. I'm pretty sure people can see the chat. It's kind of covered by the logo, so I'm gonna read it out here. He says, "Been wrong like that many times, and for a while I was resentful, but time and living well healed that." And and that's a big thing too. I think really, everybody experiences bad things in their lifetime. There's nobody on this planet has had such a life that they experience no suffering whatsoever. It's just varying degrees of suffering. Some people may suffer a little bit more, some people may suffer a little less. And and people can be wronged all the time. I've been wronged, everybody else has been wronged. And yeah, it's very easy to be resentful. It's very easy to get hateful and become bitter about that sort of thing. But I think that living well, keeping things in perspective, and also just not letting that hate go into your heart is really the goal here. I think the problem is that many people are just. This is to me a societal thing where there's such a focus on being so superficial about things. so superficial about things that, and so narcissistic about things. Adam West died or his corpse was sworn in? What? What's going on? Adam West died? Didn't he die years ago? I thought he died years ago. But anyways, the point is this. It shows a clear lack of development in my view, of psychological development as a human being in general, just not necessarily a psychological thing, but you're just not a mature person. You're not a mature person if you're a petulant child and you're like, I wish he was dead. I wish he would suffer. If you're such a petulant child or this sort of thing, then you really need to re-examine yourself. And I think that it reflects on you. You're not a good person. If you wish death on someone because you don't like them politically, or even if you don't like them for any reason, if you don't like someone for any reason and you wish death upon them, you're no better than John Wilkes Booth. You're no better than terrorists. You're no better than violent thugs that they view the world in a either you're with me or you're gonna die kind of style, like with gangs, for example. It shows a clear lack of any sort of morality and empathy on your part. And some people may think I'm being harsh about this, but I don't think so. I don't think that's harsh. I think it's just true. I think that if your reaction to something is wishing death and ill on someone, I have a big issue with that. Because that's what people like terrorists do. That's what John Wilkes Booth did. There were celebrations when Lincoln died. Oh, when people died in the Twin Towers, you had some groups celebrating. You had all these people in the Middle East celebrating. Did Americans like that? Did Americans like that when they saw people in the Middle East going ah, la, 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 and celebrating? And screaming, "Death to America! Death to America!" I have a feeling that Americans didn't quite appreciate that. Chris Rock, for example, if I go to you and I say, hey, you know what, I wish that your kids would die. I wonder how Chris Rock would feel about that. Or Sean Penn. Or, all these journalists like Jim Acosta. Or Chris Cuomo. If I go up to Chris Cuomo during dinner and say, hey, I wish your wife would suffer horribly and die, and your kids too. I wonder how Chris Cuomo would feel about that. That's the problem. It's a very small-minded way of thinking. It's a very tiny, narrow, small-minded, narrow-minded way of thinking. You're just letting your emotions take over your reason. And you're letting your own spitefulness and hatefulness take over. You have a problem with hate. You have a problem with spitefulness. You have a problem with vengeance. You have a problem with your emotional status. If that's where you're coming from. And all these people, especially, like I said, the elected officials and the media, these people need to be held accountable. Much like Joe Biden as well. Do you know what Joe Biden did? Let's talk about that. You know what Joe Biden did? Joe Biden said, his campaign said, that they were going to pull down all the negative ads during the fact that Trump was in the hospital and he had COVID. What did they do? They say that they didn't pull those ads. They freaking lied to people because they're trying to make themselves look out to be who knows what. They lied. Joe Biden lied. Oh, yes. Sipping my coffee here. So that's disgusting. That's disgusting of the Biden campaign to try and elicit sympathy by saying, "Oh no, we'll pull all the negative ads that we have on Trump," but then not really do it. You know. On top of that, there's this other thing that just came out that Tara Reid, the accuser here, claiming that Biden raped her, or sexually assaulted her at the very least. They did 60 Minutes did an interview with her, but they didn't air it here in the United States. They aired it only in Australia. And there's like 7 women total that have accused Biden of sexual impropriety. Not to mention all the slews of videos and images of him sniffing and groping people, including women, children, boys, girls. The guy's a maniac, but let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about Tara Reid, where she has a story. There's corroboration in her story. Yet the media hardly pays any attention to it. The media pays hardly any attention to it. Instead, they relegate her story to Australia, which has nothing to do with the election here. Like, the American people should have a right to know about what's going on with that, don't you think? I would think so. Let me do a quick adjustment on my mic. 1 second. Hold on. Sorry. You're gonna hear some noise. Jeez, this thing is so tough. There we go. Sorry about that. No, but basically what's going on is that if there was a credible story like this, I mean, look at all the stuff that they did with Trump. When it was not even a credible story, when you had attorneys that were representing these women that were accusing Trump, the attorney came out and said, "Oh yeah, they were paid. It's all bullcrap." I mean, it's ridiculous. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the impropriety of Hunter Biden, Biden's corruption, his problem with race, because for 47 years he's said a lot of bad stuff. Malarkey. I love that. I gotta say, I love that animated GIF. It's so funny. But you know, that's the thing. It's very much disturbing to me to see such a clear bias in the media, where there's a believable story, and like I said, it's alleged. I'm not even saying that this is fact. I'm not saying that Biden is indeed a rapist or anything like that. Even though I would call him a pedophile, because the way he gropes and handles children on cameras and stuff like that. And he also had Jeff Sessions slapping his hand away when he was trying to grab his like niece or something like that. It's disturbing. It's disturbing to say the least. And the fact that the media protects him so much, that should open the eyes of a lot of people. And you know what? I think a lot of people's eyes are open, because look at the one thing I gotta say about what this what's been revealed since Trump having COVID. Have you seen the sheer support that's been in New York City? Have you seen the support in California? Have you seen the support for Trump in those blue, very, very, very blue states and cities? It's actually quite surprising. They shut down Fifth Avenue. Fifth Avenue in New York City. They shut it down. Hey, Illustrator. Yes, I have heard about that theory, and I cannot understand the logic in that. I don't understand the logic of the theory that he did this to like oh, he was infected intentionally. Like, there's two theories of the intentional infection. Okay, let's talk about that because that's funny to me. So there's two theories here. One is that he got infected intentionally. It was a couple days ago. It was like over the weekend. I saw. Well, Scooby Doo is crap. I've never been interested in Scooby Doo, anyways. I've always hated it, to be honest with you. I know. I mean, we need illustrator. Hetero Alpha God isn't even here, and someone needs to get Mod Patch on here. My three standards. Come on, what's going on? My viewers are slacking. Yeah, yeah. In fact, there's a picture of this whole thing, even right in front of the Trump Tower. Yeah, but there's two theories. There's two theories about that. Where one, he and the Republicans were intentionally. It's like an assassination attempt, essentially. Um, hey MZ, how you doing? Oh, hey Dispatch. I hardly. I mean, you kind of come and go in my streams, you know. Yeah, and where's Meave? You had to drive your girlfriend to the dentist. It should have taken less time considering she's missing half her teeth. Good lord, what happened to her? Why is she missing half her teeth? What's going on? This is the new audience. Hey, I welcome everybody to watch me. In fact, I wish she was never big on brushing. Ah, well, that'll do it. Well, hopefully, she can get that all taken care of. I hate going to the dentist. Well, I don't know when that happened, troll. I know that it was like one of these days during this whole time that Trump was in Walter Reed's here. So I know that happened. There's all these manifestations showing up. People all went to like DC. They marched over to Walter Reed. They're showing all this support. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me how much support there is out there, even in blue cities. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to flip anything in those very, very blue states and cities. There's no way of knowing that. But that I will say that it is quite surprising to me to see the sheer amount of support that Trump has. Um, Excuse me, just one moment here. I need to check something. It amazes me. It really amazes me. It really does. So, you know, who knows really how the voting is going to go at the end of the day. Yeah, well, whoever that troll is, he's ignored because I don't need that in my stream. Anyways, what am I doing here? Let me go back to the chat here. Yeah. And the month, really, yeah. What it boils down to really is how much support's going to come out when you go and vote. And really, that's the most important thing. And that's why I tell people, don't be complacent. You can't. This is the biggest thing. I mean, look at this amount of support that you have in these blue places. In blue states and cities, there's a lot more support for Trump than people, and a lot more conservatives out there than people gave him credit for, including myself. But anyways, you know what? Going back to this whole like Trump thing, so there's those two theories. One theory is that he was intentionally infected, like an assassination attempt, and then the other is that he intentionally caught it to get sympathy because he was down in the polls and things like that. People are saying stupid stuff like that too. I think both are wrong. I do think the timing is strange. I don't believe in coincidences. I do believe that the timing is strange. I find it very strange that you have the clinic and where the debate was taking place. You have that whole place. They were saying that they traced it to that location before Trump even set foot in there. Nah, he didn't infect himself. That's dumb. There would be no point in doing that. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that he would do something like that. I think it's more likely if you want to be conspiratorial. I think it's more likely that there may have been some intention to infect him and people that were on the Senate nominating committee there for the SCOTUS. I think it does make more sense that if you're going to peddle a conspiracy theory, that's the conspiracy theory that I would look at. It makes more sense. I don't know if that's even necessarily the case, Troll. Like him not taking precautions. He has a mask. He has worn it. He has told people to distance himself if they didn't have a mask. I mean, he's tested every day. There's plenty of evidence to show that he was following precautions. But even if he's following precautions, I mean, that goes to show you how ridiculous the media is. And it goes back to that because they're saying, yeah, it's been around for months. He's been around a bunch of people. He's been wearing masks. He's been distancing from people. Yet now he catches it. It's strange. It is strange. And the other thing is, it's like, people talk about you got to wear masks, you got to do all the precautions, you got to do this. Yet somehow, if you're protesting out in the street for Black Lives Matter, that's fine. The virus somehow you won't catch it if that's the case. Muted? You're not muted, Jew bashing time. You shouldn't be. I see you. Hold on. I see you in my regular chat. Do I not see you? No, I see you in the. You're up there. No, I rarely want to ignore or mute people. I really don't want to do that. I'd rather leave my channel open for anybody to say whatever they want. Because honestly, I don't want to be a janitor. I'd rather just do that, but some people, unfortunately, if all they're gonna do is make it difficult for me to keep, because I use chat to interact with, and if your interactions with me in chat is gonna be, to the point where it's disruptive for me to read the chat, like I don't care what you say, I just care that if you keep pasting garbage, I can't read. I can't read what's going on, and you just make it difficult for me to do my stream. So that's why you would get muted or ignored. It's more of a pragmatic thing. It's not really what you're saying. You wanna be a mod, MZ? You wanna be my mod? You wanna be my Janny? So I can be like Lookner and just say, thank you, mod, thank you, mod, thank you, mod. I can be the next Lookner. You know what Lookner reminds me of? Lookner reminds me of, I don't know if a lot of you people watch the Angry Video Game Nerd. I watch him, I've been watching him for a long time. Yeah, I nominate MZ for a mod as well. Lookner reminds me of Lester the Unlikely. There's this video game of this character called Lester the Unlikely who looks like an incredibly nerdy character with glasses, and he's basically, there's this whole game review that the Angry Video Game Nerd did. She's too old for the job. Oh no, that's not good. Hold on, I might need a Kleenex, so I gotta distance myself from the microphone for a second. I gotta switch it so it's all around so people can still hear me even if I'm farther away. Hopefully you can hear me alright, because I've never really tried this mode. I wonder how it works, actually. Morning, Hetero Alpha God. I was just asking about you. Shalom, my friend. Excuse me a moment. I'm going to mute my microphone for a second. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. And I didn't want to honk it on stream here. See, that I'm working with Meave right now to get some background music, like some elevator-ish kind of music to have just kind of floating in the background of my stream. So, we don't have dead air, essentially. And I haven't forgotten about that. I'm working with it. I gotta send a communication over to Meave about that. She's been very, very good and responsive about that, and I've been kind of dropping the ball. But anyways, yeah, essentially, I find all these theories to be very silly. I find it very silly because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that Trump would infect himself for sympathy or anything like that, because I don't think that serves him well at all. Honestly, I don't think it serves him well. But on top of that, I don't know if there was an intention to infect him by someone else or a group or something. But the problem is this is the problem. See, when you have a media that basically wishes ill and death upon someone, when you have politicians like Maxine Waters, AOC, Pelosi, essentially inciting violence against the president and Republicans and conservatives, calling them the enemy of the state. You had just before Trump caught COVID, you had someone mail ricin to try and assassinate him. There was an actual assassination attempt on Trump. And people are gonna downplay this. In fact, it's hardly made any news. You had this one lady, some nutcase, mailed rice and she got arrested for it. Gee. Yeah, there's been multiple attempts as well. I know, I get that. There's people that tried to ram the motorcade. There's people that tried to do other stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that comes with being irresponsible in your language. When you're an elected official. Like, when you're an elected official, you have a greater responsibility in what you're saying. Now, I am all for free speech. You can say whatever you want, but incitement of violence is not protected by the First Amendment, especially if you are an elected official. It is very irresponsible to say those kind of things and incite violence and have people want to actually act on those words. Why do you think you have the riots that you have? You have these riots because the Democrats and the left have been pushing for this for years. When you keep telling a group of people that don't seem to be very intelligent, he's racist, he's xenophobic, he's sexist, he's this, he's that, he's a tyrant, he's the next Hitler, he blah blah blah, he's a fascist. Do you not think, this goes back to Lincoln, this goes back to what the newspapers were saying after Lincoln got elected. I mean, not elected, after Lincoln got assassinated. After Lincoln got assassinated, you had the newspapers at the time saying, when politicians and newspapers and people kept saying he's a tyrant, his cabal had no regard for the Constitution, that he's a terrible person, That they said all these things to Lincoln that pretty much mirror everything that they're saying about Trump. Then it's not surprising that people would follow through on that. It's not surprising that people would believe in that, even though it's not true. And it's not surprising that people would act on that. Once you're elected, you're special. I think they're special by nature, if you know what I mean. Well, I mean, let me just say this. It wouldn't surprise me if things come out that this was an intentional infection. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I don't see the evidence for that, so I'm not going to say that it was any sort of assassination attempt or anything like that. I don't know what this was. He caught it. That's it. And everybody's concerned. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about because it's already lunchtime and I need to go get lunch. And I started late. I know. It's my fault. But the other thing that I want to talk about was everybody losing their shit over the fact that he did this drive around to greet all the people that were supporting him. He bought them all pizza. Did you hear about this too? He brought everybody pizza out there that were supporting him at the hospital. That's such a nice gesture. I mean, forget the politics for a moment. Forget that it's Trump. Forget that it's whatever. Isn't it cool that you have someone that a lot of people care about and love, and they're all there showing their support, and he buys them pizza? I think that's just awesome. That's just a nice gesture. It's a nice thing. I think that's cool. I think that's fun. I mean, like if Obama, can you imagine Obama doing something like that? I don't think so. He never did anything like that. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Pizza for the Proud Boys every 45 minutes. I don't know. I don't know about that. All I can say is that I think that it's just a nice gesture. It just kind of shows you the kind of guy Trump is, and that's kind of something that gets lost in the media. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. I know. Yeah. Trump buys Nazi supporters pizza. Here's why this is appropriating Italian culture and why you should be alarmed. Yeah, hey Silent Bob. Excuse me. Oh goodness, I'm getting the coof myself, it seems. It's from Trump because there's meat on it. Yes, it's a meat lover's pizza. Trump pizza gate. No, but that's kind of what I mean. It shows you the kind of person that he is, and that's the thing that the media has never ever understood about Trump. Trump has this ability to relate to people. Even though he's a very wealthy person and he comes from a very wealthy family, he has this ability to kind of connect with people because, I mean, who doesn't like having pizza bought for them? Everybody likes to have pizza bought for them. So it's this ability that he has to connect to like your average individual, your everyday person, and I think that a lot that's lost on people, especially the media, especially these elites out there, the politicians and the mainstream media. That gets lost because they just view that as maybe pandering or they view it as something else. But that's something that he's always done, though. This was something that he's done before politics. He's done things like this for a long time. So it's not like this is just something that he's doing now because he's trying to elicit sympathy or anything like that. It's just a gesture. He's the kind of guy that he has the ability and the money to do so he does it. I mean, if I had the wealth that he does, it wouldn't be any skin off my nose to show appreciation to someone that way. Exactly. That's why normal people like him, but not the snob elites, because he has this uncanny ability to connect to your average man, your average Joe, and politicians like Joe Biden have worked on having that sort of relatability for 47 years in politics, and they still aren't able to do it. Look at Hillary Clinton. No matter what Hillary Clinton did, she could not do that. She could not. Every time she tried to relate to someone, it turned into a disaster because she just did not have the capability of doing that. And I think that Trump genuinely is able to connect with people. Because when you're in the business that Trump is in, you have to connect to a whole lot of strata. You have to talk to the banks and elites and CEOs, and then at the same time, and studios and television studios and all this sort of stuff. But at the same time, you have to go to your construction workers, your foremans, your plumbers, your electricians. You have to talk to all these blue collar folks. You have to be able to work with all these people. Well, the thing is this, see, if you read a little bit about Trump's history, and we'll talk about this and then I'll conclude because I do need to go up and take care of some errands and have lunch and things like that, so I can't stay much longer on stream. But the interesting thing about Trump is, like, if you read up on his history, is like before him, his family really wasn't part of any kind of country clubs and things of that things of that nature. Oh yeah, he won, they lost, and continue to lose, and it burns them. It burns them to the extreme. Oh yeah, Hillary's hot sauce. Oh yeah, the hot sauce moment. And Biden's Despacito moment, which is if you look at the lyrics, that's like really something that Biden should not be playing. But anyways, nobody really knew the Trumps in terms of these very high elite circles and country clubs and things like that. I thought we had the crazy-eyed Hillary looking around emote. Don't we have that? Come on, dispatch. Get on it. I thought we had that. No, but anyways, if you read up, like, there's on some of his books, you can actually Art of the Deal. Actually, I read that because I was curious to try and understand Trump a little bit better. And he was talking about how when he was starting out and trying to get into the Manhattan real estate business, he realized early on that he had to schmooze and he had to get into the higher echelon of these clubs, and he was able to get into this club, and nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew who the Trumps were, and somehow he was able to basically put his foot in the door and walk amongst these elites and kind of, relate with them, talk with them, and be them, essentially, at the same time, while then outside of this little bubble of elites, he was wheeling and dealing with real estate people, construction workers, and things like that, and politics at the time as well. So there's all these layers that he had to deal with for him to do what he did, because especially in Manhattan, I mean, there's a lot that you have to deal with for construction and real estate in Manhattan. So it's fascinating to me that a lot of people just discount that. They don't really think about that. And I think that has served him well and has made him a very relatable person in that sense. And like I said, even for me personally, when he first announced that he was going to be president, I was like, Trump, really? But after seeing him talk and seeing his policies and seeing his debate performances and how much both Republicans and the Democrats and the media and everybody was against him, that's what started changing my mind about him. It made me realize nobody wanted him there because they knew that he was going to expose them for what they were. And to me, that was like, oh, well, maybe I should consider this guy now. Take him more seriously. Back then, it opened my eyes a little bit more. I mean, I knew that there was a lot of corruption in government. I knew there's a lot of corruption in government. I knew that both Republicans and Democrats were basically both sides of the same coin. I knew that the media was a big propaganda arm. I knew it like this much. I did not expect it to be that much, like as horrible as it is. Like I knew it was bad. I didn't know how bad until this came along. And I agree with that, troll ZZZZ. If you like him or not, personally, there's no logical choice other than Trump. Oh yeah, I got excited. I was very excited later on. Like when he first announced, I was skeptical, and I was like, it's not. And to be fair, I never thought for one moment that he wasn't serious. You had these people that were saying, "Oh, it's just a joke. Oh, he's just wasting time. Oh, he's just being Trump." No, I knew from the very beginning that he was serious. Yeah, that's true, Illustrator. I remember that the minute he announced CERTA pulled their mattresses from his hotels because he was anti-illegals, they expected him to fold immediately because that's what the GOP does, yeah. And he didn't. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean the thing that to me, like when Trump announced, I knew from the very beginning he was serious. I never for one moment assumed that he was just mucking about and joking about this sort of thing. Like many people are saying, it's just a joke candidacy. He's not really serious about it. I knew from the very beginning he was very serious about it. I just didn't know if he had what it took to be president. Because his world has been very different from politics. And dealing, and not only with America, like this is the funny thing. I didn't even have so much doubts about domestic politics. Because I figured that no matter what, I mean, being that you've lived in America for 40, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, as he's 74. I mean, he was 70 when he ran. It was pretty obvious to me that he's always had political opinions and he's always been kind of aware of politics. He's dealt with politics because he's been in New York City and other places around the U.S. building hotels and such. So he knows politicians. He's wheeled and dealt with them. He knows American politics. My only concern was like, how does he deal so much with like the foreign things, foreign policies, foreign politics and things of that nature? That was one of the bigger concerns I had, but honestly, I just didn't know if he was the right guy. And then after the first debate, it was one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance. And as every debate went on, he convinced me more and more. And I was like, you know what? No, this is the guy. This is the guy that we need right now. Because every single Republican, they're just giant pussies. Let's just be frank. The Democrats, let's not even talk about them because their policies are insane. They want socialism. They want to destroy the Constitution. They like I said, they're playing Calvin ball with our democracy. They're playing Calvin ball with the Constitution. They're playing Calvin ball with every branch of government. They want to change it to just fit their whims. Well, absolutely. The fact that he was a celebrity, he had the name recognition, that was a big thing. Absolutely. I don't know if he'd lose per se because you did have people like Chris Christie who's been in politics and he's very Trump-like in the sense that he's a very no nonsense in your face kind of guy. The problem is if you don't have the name recognition, you have to build that name recognition, and it's hard. Chris Christie got to the point where he was now running for president because he had been doing it for a long time. Like, if someone like myself would just come out of the blue and be like Trump and trying to run for politics, it would be very difficult for people to take me seriously because they don't. There's no history behind that. Chris Christie had history. Well, that's true. Chris Christie isn't too lovable. And I don't think Chris Christie has much of a sense of humor. And I think that's the thing. Trump has a sense of humor. Trump can be a goofball. And I think the biggest thing is this. And this is something that I respect Cruz for. Trump can laugh at himself. Cruz can laugh at himself. Rubio cannot. Rubio is one of those individuals that he takes himself way too seriously. Cruz has really turned around in terms of his personality and relaxed. The shot of him wearing a baseball outfit didn't help either. He looked like Mad Pierrot from Cowboy Bebop. That's true, he did look like that. No, but what I'm saying is like you had Trump doing the dad dance on Saturday Night Live. You had you see the stuff that Ted Cruz has been posting on Twitter, and how he handled the fact that Trump was saying, "What about him? He looks like the Zodiac killer," And Cruz handled that pretty well, like very well actually. He didn't lose his mind. Exactly, Fear. The fact that Cruz is embracing that stuff and he's laughing about it, that to me really shows a lot of personality. Marco Rubio, the guy just was such a little piece of tinfoil. Like he crumpled as soon as you criticized him a little bit or like made a jab at him. And that's the thing. Chill. Exactly. Chill. That's the word that I think works well. It's like that these people are just chill. And I appreciate that about Ted Cruz. And I appreciate that about Trump. And I appreciate to me, it's not even a matter of who these people are. It's not a matter of politics. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, but if you can laugh at yourself, if you can laugh at yourself, if you can not take yourself too seriously, if you can like embrace humor and poke fun at yourself, if you're able to make fun of yourself, then you're on a good path in life. Like if you do not have a sense of humor about life and about yourself, I mean, to me, you're in the wrong direction, my friend. Very, very wrong direction. That's why I love comedians like Don Rickles back in the day. Like when you look at all the stuff that Don Rickles would get away with back in the day. Well, I mean, if you just look at the memes, that come out on Twitter, the sheer funniness of the memes from the right. Hillary is a hockey puck. There's this great bit that it's not even Don Rickles, it's about Don Rickles. It was on the Tonight Show. Let's conclude with this, and then I'll do some shameless shilling, and then we'll conclude the stream. So there's this episode of you know what? Maybe if I can find it, it'll probably get me a copyright thing. But if I can find it, I want to play this for you because it's one of the funniest things. At least for me, it's just very, very funny. I love it. It's this other comedian that's with him. Oh, geez, let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Buddy Hackett. Yes, it's Buddy Hackett telling a story about Don Rickles. Hold on, let's see. I gotta find the right one though. Let's see. Oh, I wish I had this saved because it is really funny. Oh boy, let's see. I don't know if this is the right one. Hold up. Let me check this out beforehand to make sure I got the right one. If I got the right one, we'll play it. Come on. Play. What's the matter with this thing? Hold up. This isn't right. What's going on? I'm not hearing anything. What's going on? What the heck? That's weird. Why am I not hearing anything? Let me try a different browser. Sometimes it's like the center browser is really not that great. Now you want to watch CPO Sharky? I actually don't remember watching much of that show. Like, I don't remember seeing much of it. Was it good? Now, Chris Christie, the thing about Chris Christie is that, yeah, I mean, there's some weirdness about some of the stuff that he's done. I think there is a little bit of corruption there. I think Chris Christie, for the most part, hasn't done a horrible job as governor of New Jersey, but there are problems with how he's handled certain things, and he's definitely not a charismatic character. Not a lot of people like him. Excuse me. Come on. Jeez, my computer is slow. What the heck, dude? Hold on, let me boost my fan up here. So you might hear my fan going, so please bear with me. You know, I remember just seeing some clips here and there. I don't remember much about it as well. I may want to check it out just because Don Rickles is freaking hilarious. I don't know how well he works in scripted stuff, but when he's just doing his stand-up bit and he's doing like the Dean Martin celebrity roasts and things like that, those were freaking hilarious. Hold on, come on. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's see if I can find this here. Let's see. I don't think this is the right video. I can't seem to find it. That sucks. Hmm. I don't. Shoot, this sucks. I really wish I could find this video right now. Dang nabbit. I can't find it right now. Ah. This sucks. Well, anyways, I'll look for it and maybe we'll play it next time because I can't just stay here and keep looking for this video, unfortunately. So yeah, you know, I should do that. I should just save it locally. I wasn't thinking about that video showing it at all. It was just something that I every once in a while I just kind of bum around YouTube listening to fun stuff that I like listening to. So it's just that's all it was. So if I ever come around it again, if I stumble upon it, I'll save it and I will put it up here because it's really good. Basically, I can just paraphrase the story. It's just really funny because it's Buddy Hackett talking about Don Rickles, saying that, you know, they worked at the casinos and all the comedians would get out early because they wanted to go and watch Don Rickles because Don Rickles basically was a legend around there. And he goes, you know, Don Rickles was on stage, and the stage is like 6 feet high, and they have Don Rickles on there, and he's talking to this guy, you know, doing his whole bit. And there's a guy in the audience, and he goes, "Hey, Nazi, kiss the ring, Nazi. Come here, Nazi. This Nazi, that Nazi, this Nazi, that." He keeps calling the guy Nazi, Nazi, Nazi over and over again. And then he goes, "Stand up, Nazi, stand up." And the guy stands up, and Don Rickles is on a stage that's like 6 feet high. And the guy stands up and he's eye to eye with Don Rickles. And Don Rickles' reaction is he looks at the guy and he goes, you want to spit on the Jew? But anyways, you know, the way Buddy Hackett tells the story is just really, really funny, and I'm gonna try and find it and play it because it's really good. But anyways, before I take off, before I end the stream, I want to do some shameless self-promotion. Hey, if you enjoy my horrible telling of a joke that Buddy Hackett did, and if you enjoy my my blithering and blathering on about politics and Trump and all that kind of stuff, hey, consider donating. You know, streamlabs.com/theeternalabyss. Any level of generosity is greatly appreciated. But hey, if you don't want to do money, hey, you could always do cryptocurrency. I have an Ethereum wallet. Check that out. It's in the description. Hey, Illustrator. Thank you so much for the donation. I love that song. All right. Thank you so much for the ice cream, Illustrator. Much, much, much appreciated. Na 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 na. I keep saying I'm going to shorten that. I'm going to find a shorter version of that, but I just like it so much. I don't want to shorten it. Oh, congratulations, MZ. You found out you're going to be a grandma? Congratulations. That's wonderful. White supremacist ice cream jingle? I guess so. I don't know about that. No, I'm not going to change it. I say I am, but I just like it. It is long, but I just love it. It's fun. That maybe I'll make that my diamond one. Dixieland. I wish I was in Dixie. Hooray, hooray. But anyways, yeah, if cash doesn't do it for you, you can always do Ethereum or cryptocurrency. If that doesn't do it for you, just buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/theeternalabyss. You know, this stream is about coffee, caffeine, and politics. So, you know, if you want to buy me one, I'm not going to say no to that. But even more so than that, even more so than any sort of monetary support, honestly, the best support that you can give me is followers and viewers. So, definitely spread the good word on Twitter, on Gab, on Parlay, on Minds, on Float.app, because I am streaming on Float.app. And also just on all the video platforms that I'm on, which I didn't greet everybody on all my video platforms. I want to say hello to everybody, and you know, follow me on YouTube, and hello and follow me on Periscope, hello and follow me on DLive, hello and follow me on Bitwave, and hello and follow me on Float.app. All the platforms. So if you can, that's the best thing you can do, is just spread the good word. Make sure I gain more followers and more followers, because Twitter is just cratering my followers. They're just bleeding me dry. Little by little, I'm losing more and more followers. It's just garbage, honestly. It's just really garbage with the way things are on Twitter. So, with that, I believe that it is time to conclude the stream. Guys, thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. I can't do this without you. Remember, kids, we have less than a month. We have less than a month away to make sure that Trump is elected. So go out there, register, be active, go out there, do what you need to do. We need to make sure that not only we get Trump back in the White House for the second term, we also need to make sure that the Senate stays red. We need to get rid of Pelosi. Make sure you flip the House red as well. Remember, people, don't be complacent. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m.-ish. I can't guarantee I'll be on time, but 10 a.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. Have a great day, kids.